The Clean Resource Innovation Network, CRIN for short, is a Canadian initiative founded with the purpose of enabling cleaner energy development by commercializing and adopting technologies for the oil and gas industry that reduce environmental impact across the energy sector. To achieve this goal, CRIN is focused on 7 theme areas. By sharing expertise and knowledge across a range of sectors and focusing on the theme areas that will have the largest impact on the environment, CRIN is committed to making progress on many environmental challenges, including one of the most pressing, climate change. Sharing ideas from across the network will be focused on identifying key challenges or solutions that will have the greatest impact on improving the oil and gas industry's environmental performance. And that's CRIN's foundation: diverse collaborative members, a shared passion for innovation, and the common goal of leading the global transformation to a cleaner energy future. To support CRIN's clean energy goals, the Canadian government, through innovation, science, and economic development, has invested $100 million over 4 years to enable CRIN to execute 3 large-scale technology competitions for high-impact projects with clear paths to commercialization. Innovators and clean tech companies from around the world are encouraged to bring their ideas, energy, and spirit to CRIN. Join CRIN today to stay up to date on upcoming technology competitions and events. Collaborate with diverse people in like-minded communities. Connect with other sectors and people working across the network to see how you can help each other. For more information about CRIN and to register for our no-cost membership, visit cleanresourceinnovation.com. Welcome to the network.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us for the announcement of projects identified for funding through CRIN's Reducing Environmental Footprint Technology Competition. I'm Ginny Flood. I'm the board chair for the Clean Resource Innovation Network, commonly referred to as CRIN. And before I introduce you to my co-host today, I'd like to review how this event will unfold. So the Parliamentary Secretary, Fillmore, will speak and announce the projects identified for funding in the Reducing Environmental Footprint competition in each of the 4 focus areas. We will have an opportunity to meet 2 project leads and learn about their work through short videos, and Mr. Fillmore will facilitate a short Q&A with our panel representing various aspects of the competition. Finally, there will be a few minutes at the end of the event for media to ask questions. Members of the media, I would ask that you please enter your name and media affiliation in the Q&A at any time if you would like to ask a question at the end. And members of the audience who are not part of the media are invited to share comments or questions in the chat, and we will follow up with you after the session. And thank you again to everyone for attending to these points of order. So I'm very pleased that we have Parliamentary Secretary Fillmore joining us today. And Parliamentary Secretary Fillmore is serving parliamentary for industry, science, and industry. And Mr. Fillmore was first elected to the Member of Parliament for Halifax in 2015. And Mr. Fillmore has previously served as Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Infrastructure and Communities, to Minister of Canadian Heritage and Multiculturalism, and also the Minister of Democratic Institutions. Before being elected as a Member of Parliament, Mr. Fillmore spent 20 years as an urban planner and community builder. So welcome, Parliamentary Secretary Fillmore.
Thank you so much, Ginny, for that generous introduction. And I'd like to thank the whole CRIN team for inviting me to join you today. I just want to acknowledge that I'm speaking to you for today from Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people here in Nova Scotia. So it's a great pleasure to be here on behalf of Minister Champagne and the Government of Canada, and I'm so proud of our government's work to support Clean Resource Innovation Network, or CRIN. Le leadership et l'innovation en matière d'environnement sont absolument essentiels à la transition du Canada vers la carbone neutralité et une économie à faible teneur en carbone. And CRIN is a great catalyst for just that, giving Canadian small businesses within the clean resources sector the tools and the knowledge and the partnerships they need to innovate and grow, even during such challenging times as the ones that we are currently living. As such, it's my honor today to announce the names of 17 new technology projects that will receive support through the network's Reducing Environmental Footprint Competition, NREF. Each project in its own way has the potential to help solve some of the biggest environmental and economic challenges faced by Canada's oil and gas industry today. They focus on 4 areas: water technology, methane emissions monitoring and reduction, novel hydrocarbon extraction, and land and well site reclamation. Now, taken together, these projects represent an emissions reduction of 65 megatons of carbon dioxide, and not only that, significant land and water use reductions. They will also help create jobs and economic growth. They're going to help to develop a skilled workforce and improve overall environmental health and safety. The following recipients will receive support to develop in their respective areas, and it's an impressive list. Let's start. ARC, or ARC Resources, and Swirltex, Carbonics, H2 Nano, Mangrove Technologies, and Scovan Innovations will develop water use reductions. Etalim, Hydrodyne, Catalytics, Catharos Solutions, Petroleum Technology Alliance Canada, SensorUp Innovations, and Titanium Corporation will support our air with methane emissions monitoring. Civictus, Great Northern Power, Innotech Alberta, and Suncor Energy will support novel hydrocarbon extraction. And Innotech Alberta and OptiSize Solutions will also support land use reductions. So my congratulations to everyone. All of your creative solutions are a testament to world-leading Canadian innovation. They really show how a collaborative approach between government and industry can create a pathway to global leadership and market competitiveness. Ensemble, nous mettons en œuvre des solutions écologiques, ce qui a pour effet de créer des emplois et de préserver l'environnement et de stimuler l'économie. My thanks again to the network and all its partners for working with us to help achieve a sustainable energy future for all Canadians.
Facilitation and congratulations to each of these project leaders and their many collaborator partners and team members. I encourage everyone to visit www.acceleratingcleanenergy.com, where you'll find additional information on these 17 projects that are being announced today, and a full cohort of 28 projects funded through CRIN's 3 technology competitions, of which has been made possible from the Government of Canada's Strategic Innovation Fund. This has been an incredible journey for CRIN, and I'm so proud to be here today. And our competition coordinators also have taken a big role in this. I'd like to share a few highlights of the Reducing Environmental Footprint competition, which was coordinated by us through Emission Reduction Alberta. There were 72 expressions of interest were received across 4 focus areas: water technology development, methane emissions monitoring, quantification and abatement, land and well site remediation, and novel hydrocarbon extraction. 22 projects were invited to the full project proposal phase, with 17 ultimately identified for over 44 million of CRIN funding. The total Reducing Environmental Footprint estimate combined project value is 177 million. These projects are estimated to reduce the combined cumulative emissions by approximately 64 megatons. With today's announcement, plus one pending project announcement, the total CRIN investment through the 3 competitions of 80 million to fund 28 projects across diverse technology-focused areas. Our funding is leveraged and nearly 3 to 1 by the collaborators and partners on these projects. The projects have the potential to deliver by 2033 combined estimated a cumulative emission reduction of 119 megatons of carbon dioxide equivalent, land use intensity reduction of 62,000 hectares, which is the equivalent of nearly 87,000 soccer fields. Water use intensity reduction of 1.2 million megaliters, which is the equivalent of 480,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools, and about 2,800 new jobs by 2024. The very impressive numbers. The CRIN competition process has also engaged and helped to grow 44 small and medium-sized enterprises. Once again, congratulations to everyone. Now, we're going to meet 2 of the project leads who are contributing to these incredible results and helping to deliver on sustainable, diverse energy future for Canada. The first project is by Suncor, the non-aqueous extraction field demonstration unit. And Suncor's project received 10 million of CRIN funding and is anticipated to provide significant environmental benefits for industry through the dramatic reduction of land and water impacts. The second project is by Optisize. It is called EcoSize Environmental Footprint Reduction for Subsurface Exploration Programs. And this project is recommended for over 3 million of CRIN funding and is anticipated to provide significant reductions to GHG emissions and land footprint. We're going to move into a video.
My name is Jessica Huynh, and I'm the Technology Development Coordinator at Suncor Energy. So our solution, non-aqueous extraction, or NAE, is the cleaner, more environmentally friendly alternative to the traditional recovery methods used today in oil sands mining. This project comes at an exciting time in the oil sands mining industry, as we have 3 large oil sands companies joining hands and collaborating with a small-medium enterprise to advance and deliver a game-changing technology to the industry. Currently, hot water is a substance used to extract bitumen from oil sands mined ore. Using hot water presents environmental challenges, as this requires high freshwater intake from natural resources. In recovering bitumen through the hot water extraction process, fluid tailings is also produced, which needs to be stored in large dikes and dams known as tailings ponds. Tailings ponds require costly ongoing management and can take several decades to reclaim the land. The NAE process replaces the use of hot water with a light liquid hydrocarbon solvent and produces a dry tailings instead of a fluid tailings. This means NAE has the potential to eliminate fluid tailings and minimize tailings ponds, allow for immediate land reclamation, and reduce emissions from ponds. NAE offers many benefits to the energy industry, including the opportunity to access resources with a materially different environmental footprint. The technology is able to unlock additional barrels of bitumen that cannot currently be recovered in the hot water extraction process. NAE offers many benefits to our country. By eliminating fluid tailings and minimizing tailings ponds, we'd be reducing the amount of water required on a per barrel basis by about 80%. The amount of land use could be reduced by about 1/3, and the amount of emissions from ponds could be cut in half. On the path to commercialize this groundbreaking technology, we'd be creating thousands of jobs for Canadians. This helps to preserve the workforce in Alberta and preserve the oil sands mining industry. This helps generate livelihoods for all, contributing to overall growth in the region and country.
Hello, my name is Andrea Crook, and I'm the president and CEO of OptiSeis, a Calgary-based company specializing in seismic acquisition design and software. Seismic exploration for oil and gas often requires tree clearing along seismic lines in order to provide safe access for people and equipment. The problem with this is that it can result in the removal of up to 25% of the forest, and it leaves behind cut lines that disturb the natural habitat of sensitive species such as caribou. These cut lines also require expensive restoration techniques to return the seismic lines back to their original condition. Our solution to this problem is EcoSeis, which can reduce the land footprint of seismic line clearing by up to 55% and lowers greenhouse gas emissions associated with seismic acquisition, all while also maintaining or improving data quality and lowering costs. EcoSeis combines biological, ecological, and geographical surface and subsurface information in our survey design software to generate an intelligent exploration program that protects sensitive habitats, lowers environmental footprint, and reduces GHG emissions. The benefits to the oil and gas industry include acquiring cost-effective, high-quality subsurface data that is needed for business-critical decisions, while also reducing the environmental impact and ensuring workforce safety standards during field operations. By using EcoSeis to acquire seismic with reduced GHG emissions and less land footprint, Canadian oil and gas operations can become lower carbon from the very beginning of the exploration cycle. Due to the reduced environmental footprint achieved with EcoSeis, one of the key benefits of the project to Canada is the opportunity to ethically and sustainably develop oil and gas resources within our country. Additionally, the EcoSeis solution can be exported into new sectors, both in Canada and globally, generating jobs and lowering emissions and land footprints wherever EcoSeis is applied. The project is very important to OptiSeis because it will complete validation of our EcoSeis technology through a full-scale field demonstration project. This will be followed by seismic processing, quantitative interpretation, environmental and statistical analyses, proving the reduction in land footprint and GHG emissions.
For some reason, it's unable to start my video. Oh, there we go. So thank you. Those videos are so inspiring, and that's just two of 17 projects. So today we have the honor of two project leads from those videos joining us for the panel discussion facilitated by Parliamentary Secretary Fillmore. From Suncor is Jessica Nguyen, and from OptiSeis is Andrea Crook. So rounding out our panel today are myself and Justin Wheeler, Executive Director, Technology and Innovation for Emissions Reduction Alberta, which is partnered with CRIN as an independent coordinator of this competition. So I want to thank you for all joining us, and I'm going to pass the reins over to Parliamentary Secretary Fillmore to lead us through this conversation.
Well, thanks again for that introduction. And the videos were phenomenal, really painting a vivid picture of the work that's being done by a very innovative group of people here in Canada, changing the way we do work as we transition to a low carbon economy. So thank you for all of that. Why don't we crack into some questions here and kind of uncover some of the what's under the hood of some of these remarkable projects. So I'd like to, if I could, start with Justin Wheeler and Jenny Flood, just to sort of set the context for us here today. How did CRIN and ERA work together to design and run this competition? And Justin, specifically for you, if you don't mind, what's the role of ERA in the competitions and your relationship to the small and medium enterprises?
Thanks, Parliamentary Secretary Fillmore. So ERA's role was as the competition coordinator for this competition. So we partnered with CRIN. ERA has extensive experience in attracting, evaluating, and selecting high-quality environmental innovation and technology projects with a focus on reducing greenhouse gas emissions, but also other environmental impacts across Alberta and Canada. Since 2009, we've committed about $800 million to over 200 projects, with a total project value over $6.5 billion and total cumulative expected emissions reductions of about 42 million tons by 2030. So as competition coordinator, we leverage this experience and our existing networks and our proven process to attract high-value project applications from across the country, and we put them through our rigorous, fair evaluation process with a panel of independent expert evaluators and some contracted experts in financial and environmental due diligence. So ERA's two-stage application process has been refined over the last decade to select projects that have the highest chance of success and maximum benefits for the environment and society as a whole. These projects were selected for their impact on reducing the environmental footprint of Canada's oil and gas sector across all 4 of the focus areas. In addition, all projects had to have participation from a small and medium-sized enterprise, which is a way of maximizing the innovation and economic benefits of the projects and encouraging partnerships in new ways between Canadian innovators and the existing industries that will need to deploy their solutions. The OptiSeis is a great example of that, how they've come with a solution that will help existing operators that are doing seismic operations in the field.
And maybe I can just add to that, because that's a great explanation, and it's been great working with ERA. The only thing that I would add is that these competitions also featured an independent fairness monitor, which basically ensured the fairness and transparency throughout the process, and really allowed participation from the CRIN members, so that it was not with so that we didn't have any conflict of interest. So that was an important feature of the competition process.
Okay, thank you, Justin and Ginny. I want to stick with you for one more question, but I also just want to acknowledge it's really wonderful to see the folks sort of sounding off in the chat. People are tuning in from across Canada to pay attention today, and I just want to say welcome to everybody who's joining and being part of this conversation. I hope that you will, and I know you will find it very interesting and fascinating. Now, just before we get to some of the other folks leading projects, Justin and Ginny, these projects across the 3 CRIN competitions, they're estimating it's 119 megatons, I think, of GHG reductions. You work in this field. Can you make that relevant for us? Put that into some kind of context so that everyone can understand the magnitude of that.
Sure, yeah, happy to do that. So Canada's annual emissions are about 730 million tons, and 170 of that is from the upstream oil and gas sector, or about 24%. So 119 megatons is a significant bite out of the oil and gas sector emissions. It's important to note that 118 megatons, these are all new projects and innovative projects, so that is an estimate and includes a bunch of assumptions. So those are cumulative emissions reductions between now and 2033. And these projects obviously don't happen in a vacuum. There are other policies and programs that are driving emissions reductions elsewhere in the sector, but this is an important part to unlocking and accelerating those emissions reductions and other environmental benefits, as we heard, for land and water and other impacts on the industry over the next number of decades. So the competition and the work of organizations like CRIN and ERA in general, we serve as accelerators. So the industry is doing a lot of good work already. There's policies that are driving the work, but this funding accelerates the innovation and unlocks the solutions that will achieve bigger results faster for the country. And a lot of those projects and technologies can also be exported around the world to increase the sustainability of the sector globally and reduce emissions.
Ginny, anything to add?
Yeah, I'll just add that, like I said, it's exciting to be here, and there's been lots of reasons to be optimistic that Canada can lead in this space. And in the CRIN competitions alone, there were 28 late-stage projects that had been identified for funding. But what most people don't know is that there were over 100 late-stage additional projects with SMEs and oil and gas producers and partners. participated in the competition and are needing our support to bring their potential positive environmental and economic benefits to Canada and the world. So there's still more out there. This is just scratching the surface.
Okay, thanks for that, Ginny. Well, let's turn now to some of the project leads. There are two project leads that have joined us today, and thank you again for being here and for your work. Let's try to unpack some of the work you're doing a little bit for folks that are tuned in. And whoever would like to go first is fine, but the question I think is, how important are competitions like CRINs to accelerate the drive to commercialization once your technology is at the later stages of development? What impact has this competition had as on your brilliant work? If you could tell us about that.
Well, I can answer that from the perspective of a small company. So in our experience, investment is necessary at all stages of a technology development, but it becomes critical in later stages where we need industry partners and larger investments to prove the technologies in the field and then prepare them for market. So competitions like CRINs are incredibly important because in addition to providing funding, they also encourage collaborations between technology developers and industry.
Yeah, and as it was highlighted in the focus areas, this competition is aimed at addressing challenges that we currently face within the oil and gas industry. So technology competitions like this CRIN initiative creates a market pull to accelerate commercialization, and proving out technologies at scale is incredibly important for us to improve environmental performance and widespread adoption, especially for industry producers like our project partners, Suncor, CRIN, and Imperial.
Okay, thank you for that. And I should have said, for the benefit of the folks that are listening, Andrea Cook with OptiSize and Jessica Hyun with Suncor. Just want to make sure everybody knows who we're listening to and who we're learning from today. So let's go to a different question. Again, either one of you. So I think you probably have gathered from the funding through the strategic through the funding that the Canadian government is providing here, that Canada wants to lead the world in clean energy and be very globally competitive. We heard in the videos about the challenges your projects are addressing. Maybe tell us a little bit more about the benefits and I guess any potential for cross-industry or global applications for your technologies.
Okay, so for the non-aqueous extraction technology, it is anticipated to provide many environmental benefits, but the one that I'm the most excited about is the potential to eliminate tailings ponds, as that would come with some significant environmental and cost savings advantages to the industry. Now, our technology may also be able to access stranded resources and recover bitumen with a much more simplified and efficient mining plan, providing an incremental economic benefit over the conventional hot water extraction method. And not only are the project partners the developers of the non-aqueous extraction technology, but we would also be the end user. So we actually have a huge advantage in terms of market adoption, and we fully intend to leverage on our established distribution channels and infrastructure that we already have in place within Canada. But the technology definitely has the potential to unlock opportunities in oil sands reservoirs outside of Canada as well. Now, in terms of cross-industry application, solvent extraction is actually a practice that's currently being used commercially in the agriculture and food processing industries. So the methods and configurations that we're developing through our project for oil sands can potentially be applied back into those industries to help improve and enhance their processes.
Thanks, Jessica. Andrea, would you like to jump in? I can repeat the 2 points if that's helpful to you.
Oh, no, I've got this here. So okay. I would say the primary benefit of our EcoSize technology is a greater than 50% reduction in land footprint associated with seismic acquisition. So what this leads to is less forest fragmentation and better protection of sensitive habitats, such as caribou habitat in Alberta's boreal forests. Our technology can also provide reductions in greenhouse gas emissions and costs due to the need for less equipment in the field, while still ensuring safe field operations and high quality subsurface imaging. So although the pilot project is being completed in Canada's oil sands, the technology is transferable to all oil and gas seismic programs, as well as other sectors that require sustainable and ecological subsurface exploration. Some examples are mineral resource identification, carbon sequestration monitoring, geothermal project planning, and other types of clean tech applications.
Okay, thanks for that, Andrea. This will be our last question, I think. So I want to sort of delve in. Oil and gas is shown to spend more on R&D, on research and development and investment in emerging clean tech than other industries in Canada. Maybe Ginny, or I'll actually open this one up. Andrea or Jessica or Ginny, can you expand on the role and impact of Canada's oil and gas clean tech innovation economy in the country and in the world?
Sure, maybe I'll start, and if Andrea or Jessica have any additions, but I'm sure Justin does have additions. So the involvement in the industry is significant. I retired in 2020, and I stayed engaged in this because I really believe in it. I think the big things are the industry pull, because we define what our focus areas are and the priority of the challenges, and this allows us to provide our expertise and facilitate to bring these projects to market. I also think that Canada needs all forms of energy, and oil and gas commitment to sustainability isn't important for helping to reach our net zero targets and ensure Canada is doing our energy transformation. So I feel that we are on the right track, and more is required, obviously. We need to continue to invest in early and late stage technologies, and our understanding and our capabilities will continue to evolve. So we can't take our foot off the pedal. We just have to keep going. And this is why CRIN and these projects are so important. They allow us to be part of that energy transformation. I know Justin probably wanted to add something to that.
Sure. Yeah, I think we've seen historically, oil and gas plays an outsized role in our economy, so it's not surprising that they play an outsized role in the innovation ecosystem too, but there's a lot of deliberate reinvestment of capital from the industry and from government sources in supporting that innovation. One of the unique things we see is there's a bit of an ethos of partnership that's emerged in the oil and gas sector that I think is kind of unique. The Suncor project is an interesting example of that, where you have companies that are competitors pooling their resources, pooling their innovation knowledge, and saying, okay, let's select the best technology solution to this tailings challenge and move forward collaboratively. And we've seen that with networks like CRIN, as well as others like COSIA in the past, have kind of fostered that collaboration and innovation. The other thing we've seen is the oil and gas sector, there are fuzzy boundaries. The last question was a great question about spillovers to other sectors. There was a time in Canada and in Alberta in particular where the majority of solar panels that were installed in the province were actually installed at oil and gas sites because they were a good technology for remote solutions that were needed at those well sites. So I think one of the things we try to do is take a bit of a portfolio approach to innovation, and this collection of projects represents that portfolio. There's both projects that are kind of large and small. There's near-term and long-term projects. There's projects that are having impact across the different environmental media. So having that healthy, diverse innovation ecosystem is really good for our economy and for our industry, but it also spills over into global benefits that can be harnessed both in the oil and gas sector globally and across other sectors.
Thanks, Justin and Ginny, for that. Andrea, Jessica, anything you want to add to that before we come to the end of the formal part of the program?
I think some really great points were made, so I'll leave it at that. Andrea, if you had something to say.
I would say that these types of competitions are extremely important because they foster the collaboration between multiple companies, as Justin had mentioned.
Okay, thanks for that. That's the end of our roundtable here. Ginny, I'm going to turn it back to you.
Sure. And Janice, I'm just curious, are there any questions from the media?
Yes, welcome Mark Lowy to the discussion, and proceed with your question, please. And just wait for Mark to come off mute there. We know Mark from Research Money Magazine.
Thank you, Janice, and hello, everyone. Excellent announcement, I think. My question is, You know, I don't think many Canadians realize or know how much innovation is happening within the oil and gas industry. And I'm just wondering how this industry compares, how innovative it is compared with other sectors in Canada. You know, how much does the oil and gas industry spend every year on R&D? And does this R&D spending lead directly to commercializing of new technologies? Thanks.
Do you want to try that one, Justin, or Parliamentary Secretary?
Give it a whirl, Justin. Yeah, please.
Sure, thanks. I apologize. I don't have the exact spending figures at my fingertip. Maybe we can follow up with a statistic on that. But absolutely, the spending and innovation does lead to commercialization of technologies. We've seen lots of examples of that over the last number of decades. And I think Canada's oil and gas sector is a little bit unique because a huge portion of the sector was born out of innovation. You know, there only is an oil sands industry because of huge innovations that unlocked that resource. And some of those innovations, like horizontal drilling, then moved on to unlock significant resources elsewhere in the world. The reason why we have so much natural gas in North America right now is because of the breakthrough of horizontal drilling and multi-stage fracturing that came out of Alberta innovation and then has spread across the world. So innovation has been at the core of the industry, and I think that has enabled the industry to kind of maintain that ethos and translate it to tackling challenges like the environmental impacts, both for climate change as well as for local impacts like water and land and air pollution.
So I can add, Mark, if it's helpful, from the federal perspective, budget 2019 provided $100 million over 4 years. That was the intention of that started in 2019, 2020. And the intention was through the Strategic Innovation Fund to leverage private sector co-investments to support the activities of CRA, the Clean Resource Innovation Network. CRIN, the Clean Resource Innovation Network. Yeah, I'm mixing up CRIN and CRA. Maybe you work so closely together, that's not a bad thing. So the whole point of it, right, is to develop this kind of groundbreaking clean tech and emissions lowering solutions through collaboration, which is exactly what a network should be. And then that's how we see our role.
Yeah, and I think if you look at Stats Canada, I believe in 2019, it showed that 3.1 billion was spent in oil and gas. It's about 75% of clean tech spend in Canada. I think the other thing that's really super important is that this competition is a marriage between the producers, the big companies implementing the technology. It's late stage technology that we want to accelerate the commercialization, and the benefits can be also spread across within the oil and gas sector, obviously, but for Canadians generally. And if it gets implemented and adopted and then goes into other sectors, I think that's so important, because then we actually have the whole system working together. So I just can't overemphasize that the uniqueness of these being late stage. This is a very important aspect. So if we have no more media, Janice, I don't know from your end.
No further questions posed. Over to you for final comments.
Well, thank you for that question. And I think it's very impressive of the results that we've achieved for these individual projects. And, it's through this collaboration that is a demonstration of what Canadians can do and what Canada can do in order to meet our net zero GHG emissions targets. I really want to thank everybody for joining us to celebrate these wonderful technologies and the teams have brought forward for us all to see. I would, on behalf of CRIN, congratulations to the 17 projects. You only saw 2 today, and we look forward to working with you and hearing about your progress. Don't forget to check out the project profiles on acceleratingcleanenergy.com. And with that, I'm going to say we'll adjourn this event, but thank you again for participating.
Thanks, everyone. Congratulations.